Alright, hey everybody, HFX Vanguard here. This is a deck that got me the winner of the loser's bracket of a local tournament, so it technically didn't top, but you know, it's a winner's deck profile. First things first, we start with the ride line. You're forced to play into this, but this is Sunrise Egg, the Blaze Maidens, Renu and Ryu, and Nirvana. And going into the main deck, we've got the grade 3s, 3 copies of Nirvana, 3 copies of Virina Valiente. Into the grade 2s, we've got 4 copies of Virina Arcs, and 4 copies of Virina Urger, as well as 4 copies of the original Virina.
2 copies.
2 copies. Last but not least, the grade 1s. We've got 3 copies of Stealth Dragon Togachi Arashi, 3 copies of Blaze Maiden Aruna, and 4 copies of Twin Buckler Dragon, the Perfect Guard. And finally, grade 0s and triggers. We've got 4 copies of Trickstar, and then as well as 8 critical triggers, 4 heal triggers, 3 front triggers, and of course 1 over trigger. And now to get into more detail about why I chose these cards. Starting with the grade 3s. Of course, we play 3 copies of Nirvana because that's our Persona ride. More power, more cards. What more could you ask for? As well as 3 copies of Virina Valiente. Some people prefer to cut this card out entirely or run less copies of it. I think it's just better to have because it provides consistent pressure and more powerful attacks, especially when you consider Nirvana's boost to cards with overdress in their names. Right. Grade 2s. Of course, we have to run 4 copies of Virina Arcs, arguably the best card in the deck. Overdress it, draw 2 cards, more card advantage to replace the cards you lose for overdressing because you're essentially dedicating 2 units into 1. So of course, this is going to be in deck for a long time to come, presumably. This is Virina Urger, arguably the other best card in the deck, provides you everything, more attacks, counter charge, and great intercepting shield value as well. So, of course, we also have to run 2 copies of the original Virina, because in your ride line, when you ride, you're going to search for one of these. Also, so it's nice to have another one, just in case the other one ends up in the damage zone or you draw it. Also, it's just a decent card to have on the field, just in case you don't have anything else to put on. Of course, you don't have to overdress it, of course, to get the power boost from Nirvana. Bring this out. Look at the grade 1s. Of course, 4 perfect cards are necessary just in case you face big, powerful attacks. It's nice to block them, of course. Aruna is in here to support Trickstar. Because Trickstar has to attack the Vanguard for Urger's skill to be used, you want it to be able to actually hit outside of Persona ride turns. So this is what we use because it provides a boost to grade 0s when it boosts. And of course, Stealth Dragon Togachi Arashi. This just fuels up your soul when you discard it during your turn, so it's the perfect ride deck discard material. You need soul for both Urger and the original Valiente, or the original Virina, excuse me. So it's nice to have. And for the trigger lineup, as you've seen before, critical triggers I max out on instead of front triggers or draw triggers because, of course, they're just better at closing out games. They provide more power. Front triggers here, these are the ones that provide extra shield, so they're nice. Nirvana itself provides something equivalent to a front trigger boost in the most ideal circumstances, of course. But you don't really need any more than this because of Nirvana. And of course, if more critical triggers were to come out, you'd probably replace these for even more critical triggers, but as of certain rule changes, that's not possible, so this is likely the best ratio to come for the future. Unless, of course, they release more critical triggers with better effects. And explaining the ride deck, you're essentially forced into this, as I mentioned earlier, because Ryu is necessary when you ride on top of it with Reno, or when you ride on top of Reno with it, you call Trickstar, so that provides you a free card to use for overdressing. And of course, this is your main boss unit to provide power to your Virenas. So of course, it's the best card for now. One major debate people have is whether to run Trickstar or the regular grade 0 as the starter. Trickstar going first is amazing because it provides you 2 Trickstars guaranteed in rotation, one from the starter, then you Soul Blast it out with Ryu's skill, and when you call upon on top of it with Reno. But going second, it's not very great. You want that extra card you get from drawing when you go second to help better prepare yourself against cards that really explode on turn 3, or grade 3 rather. So that's why the rationale for Sunrise Egg is there. It's not as good going first, but it's amazing going second. Going over matchups, the most prominent matchup you should worry about is Bastion, the most popular deck, probably. The best way to play against that deck, I'd say, is to very much rush in early before they reach grade 3, because their deck is chock full of those grade 3s. They don't have much going their way in terms of shield value, so it's best to have your grade 2 Arcs, Urger, and Virenas out pretty early. Yeah. Arcs, of course, draws you extra cards. You need those cards for shield once they really explode on turn 3. They can call all the grade 3s. No, the good... you only have one form of retire option in the deck, and that is the original Virena. It's best, of course, to retire their Aldens because their Visados cannot be chosen by card effects. Which is unfortunate because that also provides consistent pressure with its counter charge and soul charge.
Or maybe while you're going through the game, if you're able to keep track of their grade 3s, you can probably target their Darkstring to limit their boosting ability.
Against Bruce, another very popular matchup, it's very much the same thing as Bastion. You want to rush early because they can't really do anything until their 4th turn when they reach the final rush stages. The best thing to do against Leonard in particular, that problem card for Bruce, is you don't want to have any rear guards out, even though Trickstar kind of needs a rear guard to actually make its attack work. So you'll want to do Urger really only on Persona ride turns, where Trickstar can actually deal damage to Bruce. And as such, keep a card in your hand for shield. Try not to get overwhelmed on their turn 4, and go in. Prison is arguably this deck's worst matchup because
It is. It's
a lot of the times you're forced not to overdress because you'll just provide more cards in the prison for fuel. The best thing you can really do is just get Trickstars in your back row as fast as you can because they provide consistent power boost that can cancel out Perio Turquoise, which is a very problematic card for this deck in particular. Trickstar can't be chosen by card effects, so they can't, under most circumstances, imprison them. And more often than not, you'll just want to call down your big Virenas, Urger or Valiente, just by themselves without overdressing. If they take them in, sure, that's fine. Just get them back with Counterblast, because you don't have to use that much other than Nirvana's skill. And just hope for the best, really. Their triple drives from Prison can provide a really hard matchup. Their mirror match is also a very weird matchup, you could say. There's not much retiring going on other than with Virena, so your Urgers and your Valientes, anything you've overdressed is typically pretty safe. The big thing to watch out for is that really who can get more Trickstars faster to get more overdressing that's out. Yeah. This is a deck with consistently high power numbers across the board with both rear guards, so you'll want to keep a consistent hand size to block their attacks.
Not really much we can say about the mirror match. It's just hit first, hit hard.
Thank you for joining us. This was the deck profile for the King of the Losers.